A lake beneath the sea? That sounds like the beginning of a fantasy novel. A riddle from ancient mythology. But it's real. Somewhere in the darkest corners of Earth's oceans, far below the reach of sunlight, there are lakes that shouldn't exist. Not on mountains, not in valleys, but inside the sea itself. Imagine swimming through the abyss, and suddenly, you find a shoreline, a perfectly defined edge. You reach out, and instead of more seawater, your hand touches something else. It looks like water, but it pushes you back. It's heavier, denser, almost like thick syrup, and it doesn't welcome you. There's something strange at the bottom of our oceans, something that doesn't follow the rules of nature. It looks like a lake, floating inside another ocean. Its surface shimmers like a dream, but its touch is a nightmare. This is not water. This is brine. So dense, so toxic, that even the ocean itself cannot mix with it. If you fall into it, you won't float. You won't swim. You'll sink fast. And then, the real horror begins. Welcome to the Brine Pool, a place where no human belongs. A place where death is thick and life is something else. Scientists call it one of the strangest discoveries on Earth. But deep-sea explorers have a different name for it. They call it the ocean's red zone. A lake beneath the sea? A lake beneath the sea? That sounds like the beginning of a fantasy novel. A riddle from ancient mythology. But it's real. Somewhere in the darkest corners of Earth's oceans, far below the reach of sunlight, there are lakes that shouldn't exist. Not on mountains, not in valleys, but inside the sea itself. Imagine swimming through the abyss, and suddenly, you find a shoreline, a perfectly defined edge. You reach out, and instead of more seawater, your hand touches something else. It looks like water, but it pushes you back. It's heavier, denser, almost like thick syrup, and it doesn't welcome you. This is a brine pool, a forbidden body of water, so salty, so alien, that even the ocean cannot absorb it. It sinks to the bottom and stays there, untouched, undisturbed, waiting. The surface glimmers like silver glass, silent, still, but beneath it lies chaos. A chemical cocktail so toxic that almost nothing survives. Fall into it, and you won't float back. You'll sink into a slow, invisible death. But here's the twist. Some life forms, strange, unrecognizable, and ancient, thrive in it. Creatures that laugh in the face of poison. Organisms that don't just survive. They build colonies. To them, the brine pool is not death. It's home. Scientists call this phenomenon underwater hypersaline anoxic basins. But deep-sea divers who've seen it up close, they call it something else. The gates of hell. The idea of a lake within a sea breaks every rule we were taught. Water inside water, but not mixing. A clear boundary where laws of physics seem suspended. It shouldn't be possible. And yet, there it is. The pressure is crushing. The temperature is unforgiving. And the silence is deafening. But there it sits, like a mirror at the bottom of the world. So what really happens if a human falls into one of these deadly lakes? Will your body corrode? Will your lungs collapse? Or is there something far worse, something no one talks about, lurking just beneath that silver surface? In the chapters ahead, we'll take you to the very edge of these forbidden lakes. We'll dive into the science, the legends, and the terrifying possibilities. But first, you have to understand, this isn't just a story about the ocean. This is about what happens when Earth itself creates a place so extreme. It becomes alien. A lake beneath the sea? Yes. And it may be the closest thing we've found to another world, right here on our own planet. There's something strange at the bottom of our oceans. Something that doesn't follow the rules of nature. It looks like a lake, floating inside another ocean. Its surface shimmers like a dream, but its touch is a nightmare. This is not water. This is brine. So dense, so toxic, that even the ocean itself cannot mix with it. If you fall into it, you won't float. You won't swim. you'll sink fast. And then, the real horror begins. Welcome to the Brine Pool, a place where no human belongs. A place where death is thick and life is something else. Scientists call it one of the strangest discoveries on Earth. But deep-sea explorers have a different name for it. They call it the ocean. Hidden beneath miles of crushing pressure lies a place no sunlight has ever touched. Down here, time feels different. There are no waves, no storms, no tides, just silence and wait. The deeper you go, the more your world changes. At 1,000 meters, the ocean turns black. At 2,000 meters, the pressure is 200 times greater than at the surface. But keep going. Past the sunken shipwrecks. Past the giant squid. Past the trenches that split the seafloor like scars. At 3,000 meters below, you enter a world designed for nothing human. Here, the pressure is so immense, it can crush steel. A submarine built to withstand the Arctic would crumple like paper. Yet beneath this unimaginable weight, something waits. A hidden lake. A brine pool. Not a myth. Not an illusion. But a body of water so dense it forms its own ecosystem inside the ocean. It is untouched by currents, unshaken by storms, and completely invisible. Until you're right on top of it. The explorers who discovered these pools didn't believe their own instruments. Sonar scans returned mirrored surfaces. Cameras showed shimmering waves at the bottom of the sea. One diver described the moment he saw it like this. It felt like looking into another dimension. And yet, these brine lakes are made of something terrifyingly simple. Salt. But not just ordinary salt water. These pools are 5 to 8 times saltier than the surrounding ocean. So thick, so heavy, they fall like syrup to the ocean floor and refuse to blend. Instead, they form boundaries. Coasts, cliffs, waves. Yes, waves, deep underwater. And beneath those waves, there is death. The brine is so toxic, it strips oxygen from the water. Any creature that falls in suffocates, not because it drowns, but because there's nothing to breathe. Fish that stray too close are preserved in a state of frozen death, resting on the brine's surface like wax sculptures. But nature is never simple, because in this death trap, life also exists. Strange, sulfur-loving bacteria that defy every rule of biology. Worms with no mouths. Crabs with no eyes. Creatures that should not exist, but do, because evolution found a way. Scientists believe these deep, high-pressure environments may be Earth's closest match to alien worlds, like the oceans of Europa or Enceladus. If life can exist here, it might exist out there. But one question remains. Could a human ever explore these places safely? Could we build something strong enough to survive this crushing depth and come back alive? Or is the cost of knowledge too great? Red zone. At first glance, it seems like the perfect paradox. Beauty, thriving in a place of death. A brine pool is no ordinary underwater formation. It is a living contradiction. A phenomenon so deadly, so inhospitable, yet, beneath its toxic surface, there is something strangely beautiful. The shimmering edges of the brine pool glow in the dim, almost ethereal light that filters down from the surface. That light, which grows dimmer with every passing meter. A thick, ethereal mist rises from the surface, trapping the remaining oxygen within. It glistens like glass, sharp and cold, yet beautiful in its own way. Beneath the surface, the water is nothing like the ocean above. The brine creates a liquid world where colors swirl and bounce, distorted and vivid. Imagine a paintbrush dipped in oil, trailing hues of crimson, amber, and violet. Yet, these colors aren't mere reflection or illusion. They're alive, vibrating with chemicals that shouldn't exist, forming ecosystems where no life should endure. This toxic beauty is the very reason life endures in the brine pools. Unlike the rest of the ocean, where oxygen-rich waters nurture life, The brine pool's anoxic nature, the absence of oxygen, forces evolution to work in strange ways. Creatures born here have evolved to survive in these high salinity, low oxygen waters. Their bodies have adapted, turning into ghostly, pale versions of themselves. Eyes lost in favor of other senses. Limbs twisted in ways that allow them to crawl through the thick, syrupy liquid. The sheer otherworldliness of it all is what gives this abyssal beauty its magnetic pull. It beckons, even as it threatens to kill. One explorer described the feeling of diving into one of these pools as entering another planet. The sensations were more than the scientific or the physical. It was an immersion into something truly alien. And yet, despite its beauty, the brine pool hides something far darker than we can see. Imagine falling in. The air is thick, like swimming in molasses. Every breath becomes a struggle. The deeper you descend, the more the pool wraps around you, its dense, suffocating waters closing in from all sides. And just beneath the surface, something moves. The brine pool isn't just a graveyard. It's a tomb with its own heartbeat. The life that flourishes here is unlike anything we know on land. Extremophiles, organisms designed to survive against all odds. Creatures so perfectly adapted they can't exist anywhere else. But this beauty is toxic. And beneath the shimmering surface, there is no escape. If we dare enter, we only have one choice: to adapt. But no matter how deep we dive, or how beautiful it may seem from the outside, we'll always be outsiders here, forever at the mercy of the abyss, forever at the edge of a toxic beauty that doesn't want us to stay. It's the substance we use every day, on our food, on our roads in winter. It's the very essence of life, enabling our bodies to function, our oceans to flow. But beneath the surface of Earth's oceans, salt transforms into something far more deadly. In the brine pools, salt is not just a seasoning. It's the architect of death. As the ocean's water sinks deeper and deeper into the abyss, it becomes colder, saltier, and more oppressive. At the ocean's deepest points, salt doesn't dissolve. Instead, it concentrates, becoming a thick, dense soup. Here, salt doesn't support life. It destroys it. As the brine pool forms, it sinks below the normal layers of seawater. It's so thick, so heavy, that it can't mix with the surrounding waters. It settles like a liquid tomb, trapping whatever comes near. And when creatures wander too close, the salt becomes their executioner. The brine pool suffocates them, not with lack of air, but with lack of buoyancy. The water, more concentrated than the surrounding ocean, doesn't allow fish to float. It pulls them under, like quicksand pulling its victims into a deadly embrace. Salt, that simple compound, now becomes an agent of death. It removes oxygen from the water and from their gills. A fish can swim all at once, but in this liquid poison, it's doomed. Scientists have studied these deadly lakes for years, trying to unlock the secrets of their extreme toxicity. The salt concentrations in brine pools are so high they're almost corrosive. They break down biological structures. Cells can't survive. Oxygen can't diffuse. It's the perfect killer. Silent, invisible, and everywhere. But it's not just the creatures of the deep that suffer. Humans who attempt to explore these regions are at risk as well. Every diver must be aware, even with advanced equipment, a single mistake can lead to fatal consequences. The pressure from the depths crushes everything in its path. One wrong calculation, one moment of carelessness, and the body will succumb to the toxic embrace of the brine. The brine pool is no place for a human. The water might appear to be clear from above, even shimmering with an eerie beauty. But below the surface, it's a trap. A killer waiting for its next victim. The key to surviving is understanding the danger of salt, how it operates not just as a substance, but as a force. It's like the ocean's final line of defense, a natural barrier that no creature can breach. A place where only the most extreme life forms can survive. So why, then, does life still find a way to thrive in this hostile environment? How do creatures, often the most unexpected, live in such a lethal place? Is it a matter of survival, of evolution, of adaptation? Or is there something more? Something that even we, with all our knowledge, might never fully understand? In the end, salt is not just a compound. It's a killer. And the brine pool is where it reigns supreme. Beneath the deep, dark waters of the ocean, hidden away in the coldest, most forgotten corners, lies a world of secrets, secrets so old, so buried, that they were never meant to be uncovered. For millions of years, these secrets have been safely locked away by the crushing pressure of the ocean depths, by the inky blackness that engulfs everything. These are not the mysteries of the surface world. No, these are the forbidden truths of the abyss. The brine pools hold some of these secrets. But what we see today is just a glimpse. Imagine, if you will, the bottom of the ocean, where no human has set foot. It's a place so remote, so unreachable, that whatever lies there has never been disturbed. What if there were creatures, ancient ecosystems, or remnants of civilizations waiting to be discovered? Some believe these secrets go beyond the known world. Some believe the ocean hides long-lost species, unknown to science. But there's something darker at play. Some of these brine pools aren't just traps for marine life. They are graveyards. Tombs of creatures that perished long ago, preserved by the salt. But these aren't just any creatures. They are the giants of the deep. The ones we've only heard about in myths. Imagine a predator, a creature so large, so terrifying, that its very existence has been wiped from memory, not just from our books, but from our very perception. Could these creatures still be lurking down there in the deadly embrace of the brine pools, hiding in the shadows of the ocean floor, waiting for us to unlock their secrets? But that's not all. The secrets we may uncover in these depths are not just biological. They're historical. Thousands of years ago, the ocean was not as it is today. Shifting tectonic plates, ancient volcanic eruptions, and rising sea levels have all erased the evidence of what might have once existed. But what if, just under the salt-laden waters of a brine pool, we found remnants of an ancient civilization? A civilization that once thrived near the ocean's edge until it was swallowed whole by the sea. Could artifacts from that lost world lie forgotten in the silty abyss, just waiting to be unearthed? The ocean keeps its secrets well. So well, in fact, that many believe the answers lie not in physical artifacts, but in the very structure of the brine pool itself. Some researchers suggest that the pools may hold the key to understanding life's origins. Could it be that life began here, in these toxic, salt-choked depths? What we're left with is a mystery far greater than any treasure. These are secrets too powerful to be revealed, too profound to be understood. But somewhere in the deep, they are waiting, ready to be found. And once they're uncovered, will we be able to handle the truth? Or will we, like those before us, be drawn into the abyss, where the ocean keeps its secrets safe, forever locked away? Because some things, some secrets, were never meant to be found. His shimmer draws you in. It's beautiful, hypnotic, almost magical. A glowing silver-blue ribbon undulates at the bottom of the ocean, like the edge of a dream. But dreams can become nightmares, and this shimmer, it marks the border of death. Welcome to the edge of a brine pool. As your submersible descends into the deep, the lights reveal an ocean unlike any you've seen. The water grows darker, colder, and then, there it is, a mirror-like surface resting at the bottom of the sea. It looks like a second ocean, one beneath the ocean, gently waving, sparkling in your headlights. But this is no illusion. This is a real lake trapped inside the ocean, and its shimmering edge is a warning sign. To the untrained eye, it's mesmerizing. But to deep-sea scientists and explorers, that glow is as ominous as a red flag. That shimmer marks the halocline, the sharp divide between ordinary seawater and the ultra-saline brine. And crossing it? That's where things go wrong. Creatures that drift across that invisible barrier are met with shock. Their nervous systems fail. Their gills burn. They sink and vanish into the brine, paralyzed or dead within seconds. That shimmering edge is not just the start of the pool, it's a kill zone. The reason? The difference in density. The brine is several times saltier than regular seawater, so it doesn't mix. It sits like oil on water, with a deadly elegance. If your equipment isn't precise, if your pressure sensors don't respond quickly enough, the brine can swallow your drone, or worse, your submersible. For years, explorers have studied the way this shimmering border forms, but its beauty continues to mislead. From above, it's a jewel in the darkness. From within, it's a chemical trap. But here's where things get even stranger. Around these deadly borders, life thrives. Not the kind of life we know, but extremophiles, microbes that breathe sulfur and feed off methane, dancing at the edge of toxicity. These organisms don't just survive, they depend on the shimmering border. What if this is more than just a border? What if it's a gateway between two ecosystems, two realities? On one side, the ocean we know. On the other, a world where death is constant, but life has still found a way. And in between that shimmering line lies the question: how far can life go? Would we dare cross it? Every time a new ROV approaches the edge, there's silence in the control room. One wrong move, and it could vanish into the brine forever. The shimmer seduces, but beyond it lies darkness, poison, and silence. The shimmering borders of death are not just a phenomenon. They are a threshold, and those who cross it may never return the same. If they return at all. It begins with a descent. Slow, controlled, calculated. But then, the ocean changes. The colors fade. The sounds vanish. And the weight of the world presses in from all directions. You've crossed a line, invisible, irreversible. This is the point of no return. It's not marked on any map. There's no beacon, no alarm. Just a subtle, suffocating silence that seeps into your bones. At first, you don't even realize it. Your instruments still blink, your lights still cut through the darkness, your oxygen is still flowing. But then the strange things begin to happen. Your compass spins. Your depth gauge stutters. Your radio turns to static. You are now beyond where most have dared to go, past the photic zone, past the reach of satellites, past the echo of life. It's called the Hadal Zone, a trench so deep it could swallow Mount Everest. And down here, the ocean plays by different rules. This is where light dies and pressure becomes a predator. A place where nature doesn't forgive curiosity. Your submersible groans with the weight of miles of water above. Every bolt strains. Every seal sweats. You stare into the void, and something stares back. You don't see it. You feel it. A presence. Massive. Motionless. A watcher in the dark. This is where time forgets you. Where minutes feel like hours, and hours feel like eternity. Every explorer who's reached this far has reported the same feeling. An eerie calm. Followed by the creeping terror that they've gone too far. Because past this point, turning back isn't a decision, it's a prayer. Some never return. Machines vanish without a trace. Cables snap, lights go dark. And when they do come back, they're never the same. Camera footage corrupted. Instruments unreadable. And always, always, that final frame. A shimmer. A shape. Or something. Unknown. Scientists call it a glitch. Explorers call it a ghost. But some call it a warning. A silent, ancient message. Not here. Not you. Not yet. The ocean hides more than life. It hides thresholds. Thresholds that, once crossed, change you. Because even if you rise back to the surface, if the sensors reactivate, if the daylight returns, a part of you stays behind, trapped in that crushing, cold darkness. You'll replay that moment in your mind again and again, when everything was normal. And then, it wasn't. That moment when you passed the shimmer. When you crossed the last boundary. When you reached the point of no return. Light bends, danger begins. Down here, light doesn't behave the way it should. It curves. It scatters. It dances along invisible walls, as if afraid to go any further. And that's how you know something is wrong. At the edge of the brine pool, light flickers like a dying flame. It doesn't just fade, it warps, as if space itself is folding, as if reality is protesting your presence. This isn't a place where light shines, it's where it hesitates. Scientists call it refractive boundary distortion, where salinity and density twist the very fabric of visibility. But the truth is simpler and more terrifying. When light bends, danger begins. Imagine this. You're piloting a deep-sea drone. The feed is crystal clear until you approach the pool's edge. Suddenly, the image ripples like a mirage. Then, static. Then, something moves. Something that shouldn't be able to move. The ocean floor is still, but the shadows aren't. As your lights bend around the brine, you start to see shapes. Not clearly, not completely, but enough. Enough to know you're not alone. One researcher described it as seeing a ghost in a funhouse mirror. Another refused to speak at all, just handed over the footage and left the project forever. You see, when light distorts, truth hides. Predators down here don't need camouflage. The ocean does it for them. And the brine pool is their perfect hunting ground, still, silent, and optically twisted. You won't see them coming. You might not even see them leave. Because at this depth, biology becomes alien. Creatures have evolved to weaponize invisibility. And light, once your greatest ally, becomes your greatest betrayal. Some divers report lights that flicker without cause, beams that never reach the ground, and shadows that move against current. And always, the bending. Like the pool itself is trying to hide what lies beneath it. But sometimes, just sometimes, light gives you a glimpse. A single frame. A blurred outline. A shimmer too deliberate to be random. And that's when it hits you. This place isn't just dangerous because of what you can't see. It's dangerous because of what you almost can. Because what waits beneath the shimmer doesn't need speed. It waits for your curiosity. And the moment you lean closer, the moment your light bends at just the right angle, that's when it strikes. That's when the danger begins. A mirror floating underwater, imagine drifting through absolute silence. And then, you see it. A perfect, still surface. Floating in the abyss. No ripples. No waves. Just a smooth, shimmering sheet. A mirror. Floating underwater. But this isn't a trick. It's real. A brine pool, dense, salt-heavy water that refuses to mix with the sea around it. It looks unreal, like someone placed a giant pane of glass at the bottom of the ocean. It reflects your submersible's lights, your shadow, even your fear. One wrong move, and the mirror ripples. But it doesn't ripple like a lake, it shivers like something alive. The first explorers who saw this didn't believe their instruments. They thought they'd found another world. And in a way, they had. You see, the brine pool is more than salt water. It's a barrier between the known and the forbidden. On one side, the ocean. On the other, an environment so dense, so toxic, it could kill most life on contact. This mirror doesn't just reflect, it hides. Beneath its surface are ancient chemicals, strange microbes, and shapes. Blurred, slow-moving, watching. The Navy once described this region as optically deceptive. Civilian divers have a better word, cursed. Because mirrors, real mirrors, show the truth. But this one distorts it. Light bends across it. Objects appear closer or farther than they are. One moment, you're safe. The next, you're falling through a surface that was never solid to begin with. There have been recorded cases of probes sinking into these pools and never returning. No splash. No signal. Just a soft ripple and silence. It's as if the mirror chose to swallow them. Some believe that beneath the brine, there may be entire ecosystems alien to us. Others whisper of things not yet named by science. But no one denies this. The mirror is real, and it's watching. The stillness isn't peace, it's a trap. The reflection isn't you, it's bait. And when the time is right, it won't just reflect your curiosity. It will punish it. Because here, at the bottom of the world, mirrors don't lie. They lure. So if you ever see one, floating, impossibly still, don't reach for it. Don't drift closer. Because the moment you break that surface, the moment your shadow touches that gleaming edge, you'll realize you're not looking into a mirror. You're looking through one. And what's looking back isn't you. The gate to the unknown, in the darkest trenches of the ocean, beyond the reach of sunlight and time, there is a threshold, not marked by stone, not guarded by walls, but by silence. A silence so complete, it presses against your thoughts. And then, you see it, a rift, a shimmering line across the seafloor, the edge of a brine pool, still, mirror-like, and impossibly precise. It doesn't look natural. It doesn't feel accidental. It looks designed like a doorway, a gate, and on the other side, everything we do not understand. This isn't just heavier water. It's something else. It's a portal into conditions so alien, they resemble other planets more than our own world. The salinity is 5 times that of the sea. The temperature, unpredictable. The chemistry, hostile. But it calls to us. Scientists call it an extremophile zone, a region where only the most bizarre life forms can exist. But explorers? They call it the gate, because it acts like one. Equipment malfunctions when it gets too close. Lights bend. Sonar scatters. Even time seems slower. And when something enters, be it machine or man, it doesn't always come back the same. Probes dropped into the brine pools often vanish from radar. Some reappear minutes later, covered in strange biofilms. Others? Never seen again. Divers have reported hallucinations. Voices. Pulses in the water, like something beneath the surface is breathing. One described it as standing before an eye that wasn't open yet. Because this isn't just a location. It's a limit. A threshold between what we know and what we aren't meant to. Down here, evolution went a different way. Down here, life didn't just adapt. It transformed. Microbes that survive on methane. Worms that thrive in poison. And shapes, large, slow, waiting just beyond the shimmer. If you look too long, you'll start to question what's real. Because nothing behaves normally here. Not light, not sound, not thought. And maybe that's the point. Maybe this gate was never meant to be opened, only witnessed. Like a warning written in liquid glass. But humans, we don't obey warnings. We chase them. So we keep sending probes. We keep peering over the edge, hoping to unlock the secrets below. But sometimes, when the current shifts just right and the pool's surface trembles, you get the feeling that something is looking back, waiting, watching, because beyond this gate, the unknown is not empty. It's aware. One step too close. It always begins the same way. A mission, a dive, a curiosity that just won't let go. You think you're prepared. You've studied the maps. You've read the warnings. But down here, in the abyss, nothing goes according to plan. Because the ocean doesn't play by our rules. It lures you in. Slowly, patiently, you drift past the jagged rocks, through the silent corridors of forgotten shipwrecks. And then, you see it. A brine pool, still as glass, shimmering like a portal carved into the seafloor. Your instruments begin to flicker. The sonar returns. Nothing. Just silence. You know you should stop. You feel it in your gut. But you take one more step. One step too close. That's all it takes. One step into the strange gravity of this place. Your lights dim. Shadows stretch in directions they shouldn't. Pressure increases, not just around you, but inside you. The line between you and the water blurs. You feel watched, surrounded, not by life, but by something else, something aware. The liquid shimmers again, not from your movement, but from within. Something beneath the brine shifted. It felt your presence. A deep, slow pulse echoes through your chest. It's not your heartbeat. You try to back away, but now the water feels heavier. Like the ocean doesn't want to let you go. You were a visitor. Now you're a trespasser. The shimmer becomes a blur. You lose sight of your team, your own hands. The silence grows louder. One diver once described it like stepping into a dream, a lucid one, where everything's familiar yet wrong. Colors that don't exist, lights that don't reflect, a voice in your mind whispering things you don't remember learning. This is what it means to go too far. And this is where science ends and something else begins. No one knows what lies beneath these pools. Alien microbes? Ancient life? Or something the Earth itself has locked away. But those who come too close rarely return the same. And those who do don't speak of what they saw, because some boundaries aren't meant to be crossed. Some mysteries are meant to remain mysteries. And sometimes, the sea doesn't take you. It keeps you. As a warning for the next one who dares take one step too close. Skin burns without fire. Imagine feeling your skin burn, but there's no flame, no heat, no smoke, just water. You're hundreds of meters beneath the surface. The sunlight is long gone. Your breath controlled. Your gear flawless. But then something changes. A sting, then a surge of pain. Your hands tingle. Your face goes numb. It's not the cold. It's not pressure. Your skin is burning. And it's not from fire. It's from the brine. Down here, where salt concentrations can be over 8 times higher than normal seawater, chemistry turns deadly. The brine doesn't mix. It forms lakes beneath the ocean. Traps. Waiting. The edges shimmer like glass, like invitations. But once you're in, there's no way back. These pools are toxic, filled with hydrogen sulfide, methane, and unnatural levels of salinity. They corrode metal, kill fish instantly, and melt human flesh. Your suit is your only defense. But even that won't hold forever. If just one microscopic tear opens, the brine will seep in. You won't feel heat. You'll feel chemical agony. A slow, invisible assault. First comes numbness, then tingling. Then the layers of your skin begin to blister. Under the pressure, under the salt, and under something far more ancient. Because this isn't just water. It's a liquid fossil. Trapped remnants of a primordial Earth. Some scientists believe it hasn't changed in millions of years. And what lives inside it? Strange bacteria. Alien microbes. Microorganisms that thrive in environments so toxic they could barely exist anywhere else. They release acidic compounds. They consume flesh. They rewrite what we know about survival and death. And if even one of them gets into your bloodstream, it's over. Your muscles seize. Your vision blurs. And your body begins to shut down. That's why even the most experienced divers never get close. Because down here, death doesn't announce itself. It slips in silently. It doesn't scorch. It doesn't scream. It whispers and dissolves. Skin burns without fire. Because in the deepest corners of our own planet, the laws we live by don't apply. And sometimes, pain isn't caused by heat, but by secrets we were never meant to touch. The last breath is stolen. They say drowning is peaceful. That at the end, it feels like floating. But in the brine pools, it's nothing like that. Here, your lungs don't just fill with water. They are robbed. Imagine descending into silence. past the coral graveyards, past the ancient wrecks, past the last flicker of sunlight, until the ocean becomes black glass around you. Then you see it, a mirror beneath the sea. Still, hypnotic. You float above it, not realizing it's not just water. It's brine. Thicker, heavier, deceptive. And then you slip, just slightly. One fin dips in. That's enough. Your balance shifts, and in an instant, you're inside. Everything changes. The density locks you in place, pulling you down like wet concrete. Your arms don't move the way they should. Your body sinks slow but unstoppable. You try to scream, but the brine pushes into your mouth. It doesn't just choke, it corrodes. You can't rise. You can't even float, because this water is heavier than your body. It wraps around you like a liquid coffin, and then it steals it, your final breath. Not with a crash, not with a scream, but with a silence so complete, it hums. This isn't just drowning. This is being absorbed by the ocean. Divers who've come too close describe it the same way. It felt like something was waiting for me. Some believe the brine is alive, a consciousness buried under miles of pressure. Others say it's just chemistry, salt gas, and pressure conspiring in a deadly formula. But when your last breath is taken from you, it doesn't matter why. It matters that no one heard you go. The surface is too far, the sound too muted, the shadows too deep. And the ocean? It doesn't grieve. It keeps what it claims. In the brine pools, there's no struggle, no splash, just silence. Because down here, when death comes, it doesn't ask. It takes. And when it does, the last breath is stolen. A fall that feels like sinking in glue. A fall, but not just any fall. Imagine free falling, plummeting down into the unknown. The rush of air, the pull of gravity. It should be fast. It should be terrifying. But what if it wasn't like that at all? What if the fall didn't feel like you were dropping, but rather sinking? Slowly, relentlessly, as if the very air around you had turned into thick, viscous goo, like glue. It clings to you, drags you down. You can't escape it. At first, it's barely noticeable. The weight of it. You think you're still falling, but the descent starts to slow. You try to move, but your body won't obey. It feels like you're trapped in a nightmare. Each second becomes an eternity. The darkness around you stretches endlessly. The cold presses in from every direction. You try to scream, but even your voice is swallowed up. There's nothing. No sound. No movement. Only the suffocating pressure. It's like drowning, without water. Like being wrapped in something so thick that every inch of your body is held captive. The sensation is alien, unnatural. Your body is stuck. And as you struggle, you realize this isn't just a fall. This is the abyss. It feels like glue, doesn't it? A fall that feels like sinking in glue. Not just physical weight. It's the psychological weight, too. The knowledge that this is no accident. No random plummet. You're being drawn into something that has no escape. It's as if the very air has shifted, the pull of gravity, the flow of time, everything is against you. You know, deep down, that if you keep sinking, you may never come back. It's not the kind of fall where you can just push through, fight against it, and emerge victorious. No. It's a fall that pulls you deeper into something darker than the deepest ocean. A place where even your instincts can't save you. The deeper you sink, the heavier the glue becomes. Your movements slow, your limbs grow heavy, until all that remains is the cold embrace of the unknown. And you wonder, can you fight it? Can you escape? Or is this it? The final descent. The point of no return. The moment you sink. Forever. No screams, no escape. No screams. No escape. Imagine plunging into the vastness of the deep sea. You fall, weightless at first, the water cool, dark, swallowing you whole. But soon, it changes. The pressure builds. It's not just physical, it's mental. You try to scream, but your voice is lost in the silence. The weight of the ocean doesn't allow it. It presses in from every side, and you realize there's no escape. You could struggle, you could thrash, but it won't matter. The sea doesn't care about your fight. It is cold, it is relentless. And in the deep, your screams are drowned by the crushing weight of an ocean that doesn't hear you. There's no sound here. Not the soft ripple of waves. Not the gentle whoosh of water moving. Only the deafening quiet of a place so deep, so alien that nothing escapes it. It's a vacuum pulling you deeper. No screams. No escape. Every movement feels like you're being dragged into something thicker, heavier, as if the water itself has become more viscous, more suffocating. The deeper you go, the harder it is to breathe. The air becomes more distant, the pressure more suffocating. And then, you see it. The abyss. It's not the soft blue glow you imagined. It's black. Endless black. The black that absorbs everything. You reach out, but the water won't let you move fast enough. The more you struggle, the slower you sink. No screams. No escape. The ocean is a prison. The water, a warden that traps you. But not with chains. No, it traps you in its silence, in its cold, in its depth. You realize then, you are completely alone. Not a sound, not a sign of life. Nothing, just the endless sea, and that blackness inching closer. The deeper you go, the less the light exists. The shadows around you grow thicker, suffocating the very air you breathe. You want to swim up, but the water feels like a thick gel pulling you down. The ocean is not a place for escape. It is a place where you either survive the dark or become a part of it. And once you're in, no screams, no escape. You keep sinking. And then, you feel it. The last remnants of your strength fade away. The silence is complete. The ocean has won. Salt so thick it drowns. In the darkest corners of our oceans, there are places where the sea refuses to follow the rules we know. Water, which we've always thought of as a life-giving force, transforms into a silent killer. It's no longer the kind of water you swim in or splash around in at the beach. No, this water is different. Salt so thick it drowns. The water here isn't the soft, buoyant kind you're used to. It's heavy, thick, almost as if it's made of something far more dangerous than water itself. The salt concentration is so high that the water becomes nearly viscous, thick like molasses, but with a deadly twist. It's not just hard to swim in, it's suffocating. Imagine plunging into the depths of this water. You drop down into the abyss, the weight of the ocean pressing against you, but this water doesn't offer any mercy. You struggle to move. Every attempt to push yourself upward feels like wading through thick mud, but worse. The salt drags at you, pulling at your skin, as if it wants to swallow you whole. The more you try to rise, the heavier you feel. It's as though the water itself is trying to drown you, not with waves, not with currents, but with its sheer density. The salt is so potent, so thick, that it drowns you. Not in the traditional sense of suffocation from lack of air, but in a way that wears you down, weakens you, and erases your strength. The more you fight against it, the more it pulls you under, each breath growing harder as the water refuses to release its grip. It's not just salt water. It's a silent, oppressive force that renders you helpless. This isn't just water. It's a trap. A trap made of salt, so dense that you feel as though the very substance of the ocean is trying to hold you down, drag you into a slow, suffocating death. The higher salt concentration here means the water doesn't behave like any sea you've known. It's a solid masquerading as liquid, thick enough to make any attempt at survival seem pointless. As you descend, you realize the salt is too thick. It doesn't flow. It doesn't allow movement. It's not the freedom of floating you're used to. Instead, it's a suffocating pressure that feels unnatural. You're trapped beneath the weight of it, each movement slower than the last. And when the salt surrounds you, when it floods your lungs and fills your senses, you'll begin to understand just how deadly this place is. It doesn't drown you the way a wave crashes over you. No, this is a slow, deliberate kind of drowning. One that you can't escape because the very water you're in refuses to let you go. Salt so thick it drowns. In these underwater hypersaline pools, the salt doesn't just make survival difficult. It alters the very way life behaves. It makes the impossible possible and the unimaginable real. This is not just an ocean. It's an alien world where the rules of nature twist and turn in ways we never expected. Gravity behaves differently here. Gravity behaves differently here. The deeper you dive, the more the laws of nature seem to unravel. We're all familiar with gravity, right? The force that holds us down to Earth, the force that makes us feel grounded, that keeps us tethered to the planet. But what if gravity didn't behave the way we know it? What if the deeper you go into the ocean's most secretive depths, gravity itself begins to lose its grip? In the world of deep-sea exploration, gravity isn't a constant. Down here, in the abyss, there are places where it's almost as though gravity is simply playing tricks on you. You see, in certain parts of the ocean, particularly within hypersaline zones like brine pools, the density of the water can alter the way objects move. What's supposed to sink starts to float. What should rise instead stays put, suspended like a forgotten dream. Gravity behaves differently here. Imagine floating in water, your body weightless, like in a zero-gravity chamber. You would expect to be pulled down, but instead, you feel nothing. You try to move your legs, but instead of pushing yourself upward, you feel like you're being tugged in a different direction. That's because the dense water here is creating a weightless effect, tricking your senses. It's not just buoyancy at play. It's the strange pull of gravity being distorted by the extreme conditions. In a normal ocean environment, the water's density is balanced by gravity, keeping things where they belong. But in the depths of brine pools, gravity seems to weaken its hold. The ultra-salty water is so dense that your body doesn't experience the familiar pull downwards. Instead, you hover, suspended in place, as if the sea has decided to bend the laws of physics for its own purposes. And it's not just that gravity becomes weaker. It's as if it's confused. Your body feels lighter, but there's an oppressive weight around you, as if the water is pushing against you from all directions, trapping you in an invisible force field. The deeper you go into this liquid, the more disconnected you feel from the world above, from the ground you know. The sensation of floating becomes not peaceful, but disorienting. And then, when you try to swim or move, it's like the ocean fights back. Your limbs don't respond the way they should. You struggle to swim up, but the pressure of the thick salt water makes it feel like you're fighting against an invisible force. Gravity doesn't seem to care about your struggle. It just watches silently as you try and fail. The water here feels like concrete, but not in the sense of it being solid. It's like gravity itself is disoriented, confused by the weight of the salt that refuses to mix, refuses to follow the normal rules of the ocean. It's not simply about floating or sinking anymore. It's about existing in a place where gravity just doesn't play by the book. Gravity behaves differently here. There are few places on Earth where the natural world behaves so unpredictably, and the deeper you go, the more you realize that the ocean doesn't just hide mysteries. It warps reality. In this part of the world, gravity isn't constant, and your understanding of what's possible begins to fade away. You're not just swimming in the ocean, you're suspended in a strange, alien force field where everything you thought you knew about the world is suddenly in question. And so, as you drift deeper into the brine, trying to make sense of the disorienting, inverted reality, you realize something profound. The ocean doesn't just hold secrets. It has the power to rewrite the rules of existence itself. floating becomes impossible. Floating becomes impossible. The deeper you go into the ocean, the more the laws of nature begin to break down, like a shattered mirror reflecting reality in pieces. Down here, in the depths of the world's most alien waters, something happens that defies everything you thought you knew about buoyancy. We've all experienced floating, haven't we? The calm feeling of being weightless in water, the gentle rise and fall, suspended in liquid, with the world above slipping away. But in certain parts of the ocean, particularly within brine pools, that feeling of weightlessness vanishes. Floating becomes impossible. In these dark, forbidden pockets beneath the waves, the rules of floating don't apply. Normally, the human body would float in water because of a balance between our body density and the density of the water. But not in a brine pool. The water here is so saturated with salt, so dense, that it changes everything. As you dive into one of these pools, you might expect the familiar sensation of buoyancy. Instead, you feel yourself sinking, slowly, uncontrollably. The water around you is so thick, so heavy with salt, that the natural buoyant force you've relied on for your entire life simply doesn't exist here. Your body, instead of rising to the surface, is being pulled down into a silent abyss. Imagine trying to float in a pool of syrup. Every attempt to stay above the surface feels like you're sinking deeper. You push your legs down, but there's no give, no lightness, no escape. Your body, heavy with the weight of salt water, isn't allowed to rise. The very idea of floating becomes a cruel joke. In fact, in a brine pool, floating isn't just difficult, it's impossible. The water's density makes it like a thick, invisible force pressing against you from all sides. Even if you try to kick your way to the surface, the dense liquid refuses to yield. Every stroke feels like you're swimming through molasses, slow, labored, and utterly unrelenting. Now, this may sound unsettling, but what's even more disturbing is the sense of being trapped. The brine pool creates a feeling of being encased, as if the very water around you is holding you down, pulling you into its depths. It's as though you've entered a place where the laws of buoyancy don't exist, and you're caught in the grip of a force stronger than your own will to rise. Why does this happen? The water in a brine pool is so salty, so thick, that it behaves like liquid concrete. The salt creates an extreme imbalance in density, which essentially locks you into place. Your body, naturally less dense than this water, wants to float, but the water around you refuses to let you. You're suspended in a liquid that is so heavy, so dense, that it renders the idea of floating meaningless. You're not just floating in water. You're in a space where the ocean's laws are suspended, where gravity is warped, and buoyancy is a lie. You're trapped in a thick, liquid world that laughs at the laws of nature. Floating becomes impossible. It's not just a matter of physics here. It's the sensation of helplessness, of being unable to defy the weight of the world pressing down on you. In a brine pool, every attempt to float feels like a futile struggle against an invisible enemy. And in the crushing silence of the deep ocean, you realize you've entered a place where the ocean itself decides who stays afloat and who sinks. Trapped beneath your own weight. Trapped beneath your own weight. In the strange, unforgiving world of brine pools, your body becomes an enemy. You might think you're simply submerged in water, but you are much more than that. You are trapped. As you descend deeper into the ocean, a change begins. The water starts to feel different. It's thicker, heavier, almost like a living thing, resisting you. Normally, water provides buoyancy, the gentle force that allows you to float, to rise above the surface. But here, in these treacherous pools, you quickly realize that this is a place where your body is no longer in control. The brine pool is so dense with salt that it changes the very nature of the water around you. It becomes an oppressive weight, pushing down on you from all sides. Your body, which normally wants to float, now feels like an anchor. The moment you enter this salt-choked water, you are immediately sucked into a silent struggle against your own weight. Imagine being submerged in a liquid so thick that it clings to your skin. Every movement becomes a battle. You try to push your legs to kick your way to the surface, but the liquid resists. It's like being trapped beneath your own weight. No matter how much effort you exert, no matter how much you strain to rise, the weight of the water pulls you back down. But it's not just the salt that's holding you down. The water's sheer density works against your body, making every attempt to rise feel futile. The denser the water gets, the more impossible it becomes to float. Your body, naturally less dense than the brine, is overwhelmed by the weight of the salt water, trapping you in a viscous grip from which there is no escape. What makes this sensation even more terrifying? It's the realization that you can't fight it. The deeper you go, the harder it becomes to move, to break free. You're stuck in a slow, sinking nightmare, caught in the grip of your own body's inability to overcome the relentless pull of gravity and the density of the brine. You're trapped beneath your own weight. With every passing second, it feels like the ocean itself is trying to bury you alive. The pressure of the brine pool squeezes against your chest, and your lungs scream for air, but there's no escape. You can't float. You can't push yourself up. The weight of the water is too much to bear, too much to overcome. You feel every inch of your body being pulled deeper, pulled down into the depths. It's a sensation unlike anything you've ever experienced. The water doesn't let you rise. It doesn't let you escape. You are submerged in a trap of your own body's weight, where every movement feels heavier, every breath more strained. The deeper you sink into the brine pool, the more you realize that there's no returning to the surface. You're not just trapped in the water. You're trapped in a place where your own body, your own weight, becomes your prison. The brine pool doesn't just keep you down, it makes you feel the crushing weight of every second that passes, reminding you that in this alien part of the ocean, there is no relief, no escape from the gravity of your own existence. Trapped beneath your own weight. In a place where the rules of the ocean bend and break, you are forced to confront the most terrifying truth. There is no escape. The ocean's liquid concrete. The ocean's liquid concrete. What if the very water you're floating in could turn into something deadly? A substance that holds you in place, never allowing you to escape. That's what you face in the depths of the ocean's most treacherous zones, the brine pools. Imagine this. You dive deeper into the abyss, where light no longer dares to venture. The water becomes darker, colder, and more hostile. The further down you go, the heavier it feels, the more suffocating it becomes. You're no longer floating freely. The weight of the water around you changes. It's thick, it's viscous, it's like swimming through cement. The brine pool, a place where the salt concentration is so high, the water becomes a liquid concrete. Unlike the water we're used to, it's so dense, it doesn't just pass over your skin. It presses down on you, clings to you, like a mass of wet concrete trying to suffocate every movement. The salt is so thick that it's like being trapped in a fluid that holds your body still, resisting every effort to break free. Normally, we think of water as something that moves freely, a substance that flows and allows us to glide effortlessly through it. But in the brine pool, the water doesn't let you move. It's almost as though the ocean itself is holding you in place, trapping you under its weight. You push against it, but the brine refuses to yield. Every attempt to swim becomes an exhausting, futile struggle. It's liquid concrete. Your movements are slowed, controlled, as if the water is physically holding you back. It's heavier than any water you've ever experienced. It drags you down, holds you in place, just like concrete, locking you in place as you sink deeper. The brine pool doesn't allow for the lightness of swimming. It's like you're wading through a swamp of heavy, thick liquid that won't let you rise. Imagine the sensation of sinking deeper into it. Each inch, each movement feels like you're being drawn down into a pit of solid stone, where the more you try to struggle, the more impossible it becomes. The water wraps around you, pressing against you like walls of concrete. The density traps your body, and you quickly realize that you're not just in a pool. You're trapped in a substance that defies the very nature of the ocean. The deeper you go into this liquid concrete, The more the ocean becomes alien. The water doesn't welcome you. It resists you. It's as if the ocean has decided that you don't belong here. It's cold, it's dense, and it doesn't give you a chance to float, to rise. Instead, you sink, and with every inch, you feel the weight pressing harder against your body, like the crushing pressure of concrete sealing you in. This is no ordinary water. This is the liquid concrete of the ocean. And it doesn't care if you're trying to survive. It's a place where movement is an impossibility, where escape is a dream, and the ocean doesn't play fair. And just like concrete, it might keep you trapped forever until your last breath is stolen away by the suffocating weight of the sea. The ocean's liquid concrete. Not a place for the weak. A place for those brave enough to challenge the deepest, most dangerous forces of nature, or be swallowed by them. Life where death should reign. In the vast, inky blackness of the deep sea, where the light of the sun can never reach, you'd expect death to rule. After all, this is a world of crushing pressure, freezing temperatures, and complete isolation. A world where survival seems impossible. But what if we told you that, in one of the most hostile places on Earth, life not only survives, it thrives? Deep beneath the waves, in places where no human can endure, there exist strange, alien worlds, brine pools. These pools are more like rivers of death, cut off from the rest of the ocean by thick layers of salt. The water here is so toxic that almost no living creature can survive within it. It's an environment where even the fiercest predators would drown, where no fish, no coral, no plant could exist. And yet, there is life. In this deadly environment, life should not exist. But somehow, against all odds, it does. Microorganisms, bacteria, even ancient creatures have found a way to not just survive, but flourish in the poisoned waters of these brine pools. It's a world where death should reign, but life has found a way to carve out a place for itself in the abyss. How can this be? How can life emerge from such a toxic, hostile world? The creatures living in brine pools are nothing like anything we know. They've adapted to the extreme conditions of their environment, developing ways to resist the deadly salt concentrations, the lack of oxygen, and the crushing pressures that would crush most other life forms. These creatures have evolved over millennia to thrive in a place where no other life should even consider surviving. Some have developed the ability to extract the smallest traces of nutrients from the most unlikely sources. Others have developed unique methods to process the highly concentrated salt without being poisoned. The brine pool is a place where the line between life and death is blurred. It's a fragile equilibrium where life has adapted to survive in a place where death should reign supreme. And yet, here, in these toxic waters, life flourishes. The creatures that thrive here have no fear of the toxic waters that would kill most others. The dangers that should have wiped them out long ago are merely obstacles to overcome, and they've mastered the art of survival. It's a testament to the resilience of life, the ability to adapt, and the power of evolution to find a way to thrive against all odds. Life where death should reign. Perhaps it's a reminder that even in the most impossible, unforgiving places on Earth and beyond, life can find a way to endure. In the deepest, darkest corners of our world, life finds a way to not just survive, but to rise from the very depths of death itself. A place where death should reign. Not anymore. Life is here, and it's stronger than ever. Bacteria that eat methane. Deep beneath the surface of the ocean, far from the warmth of the sun, lies a world of unimaginable extremes. It's an alien realm, where life is shaped by conditions that would be fatal for most organisms. But within this hostile environment, there exists a mysterious group of organisms that have evolved in ways we can hardly imagine. Bacteria that eat methane. In the depths of the ocean, methane, a powerful greenhouse gas, leaks from the seafloor in vast plumes. You might think of methane as something dangerous, an invisible killer that contributes to climate change. But for certain bacteria, methane is not a danger. It's food. These tiny bacteria, known as methanotrophs, have a remarkable ability. They consume methane. But they don't just eat it. They use it as their primary source of energy. In the absence of sunlight, these bacteria have evolved a way to thrive by feeding on a gas that most creatures would avoid. Methanotrophs live in some of the most extreme environments on Earth. From methane seeps on the seafloor to the edges of brine pools, these bacteria survive where oxygen is scarce, where temperatures hover near freezing, and where pressure would crush most other life forms. And they don't just survive. They play a crucial role in the balance of Earth's ecosystems. As they consume methane, they convert it into carbon dioxide and other compounds that are less harmful to the atmosphere. In doing so, they act as natural climate regulators, preventing large amounts of methane from reaching the atmosphere and contributing to global warming. Imagine, for a moment, the depth of the ocean where these bacteria thrive. It's a cold, dark, and silent world, a place where life has to find incredibly unique ways to survive. Here, at the bottom of the food chain, methanotrophs are doing something almost miraculous. They're cleaning up our planet. The bacteria that eat methane are part of a delicate balance in the deep sea. Without them, methane would build up in the atmosphere, accelerating climate change. But these bacteria act as the ocean's natural defense system, consuming the methane before it can cause harm. So how do they do it? How do bacteria that live without sunlight transform something as toxic as methane into something useful? It's all about the process of oxidation. These bacteria oxidize methane, breaking it down into carbon dioxide and water. This is a natural chemical reaction, one that's powered by the unique enzymes the bacteria produce. These tiny organisms, invisible to the naked eye, are playing a massive role in the fight against climate change. They're doing something no human technology can replicate, cleaning the Earth, one molecule of methane at a time. Bacteria that eat methane, they're not just surviving in the darkest depths of our planet, they're helping us breathe easier. They are the unsung heroes of the ocean, turning an environmental threat into a force for good, and proving that even the smallest life forms can have the biggest impact on our world. Worms of another world. Imagine a creature so strange, so alien, that it seems like it doesn't belong to this world. A creature that defies everything we know about life. Welcome to the realm of the worms of another world, deep-sea creatures that challenge the limits of biology and our understanding of life itself. In the darkest, most inhospitable parts of the ocean, beneath crushing pressure and freezing temperatures, live worms that have evolved in ways that seem almost too bizarre to be real. But these worms aren't science fiction. They exist, and they thrive in the extreme conditions of the deep sea. Take the Riftia pachyptila, better known as the tube worm, which can be found living near hydrothermal vents, where superheated water gushes from the Earth's crust. In these vents, no sunlight ever reaches, and the temperatures can exceed 700 degrees Fahrenheit. It's a place where few creatures would dare to venture. Yet, these worms flourish, feeding not on sunlight, but on the chemicals spewing from the vents, chemicals like hydrogen sulfide, which is toxic to most life forms. How do they do it? The secret lies in a symbiotic relationship with bacteria that live inside their bodies. These bacteria turn the toxic chemicals into usable energy for the worm, creating a unique ecosystem where life thrives without sunlight. In fact, the bacteria produce all the nutrients the worm needs, while the worm provides them with a safe, stable home. These worms, living in their self-sustaining world, are often called extremophiles, organisms that thrive in environments that would be lethal to most other forms of life. They exist in a place where humans couldn't survive for more than a few minutes without specialized equipment. But for these worms, it's home. What makes the worms of another world even more fascinating is the fact that they've evolved a set of biological tools to deal with their harsh surroundings. Their bodies can withstand the extreme pressure found in the deep ocean, where the weight of water above them is thousands of times greater than what we experience on land. Their unique ability to survive in the absence of oxygen, using chemical reactions instead of respiration, makes them a model of resilience. One particularly strange example is the giant tube worm, which can grow up to 8 feet long. With no mouth or stomach, it doesn't need to eat in the traditional sense. It relies entirely on its symbiotic bacteria for sustenance. The worm's body is covered in bright red plumes that absorb hydrogen sulfide, a toxic gas, and deliver it directly to the bacteria, which then convert it into food for the worm. These worms live in a constant battle against the environment. They must fight against the darkness, the heat, the pressure, and the lack of oxygen. But they don't just survive, they thrive, carving out a life in what seems like an impossible place. The worms of another world are a perfect example of the extraordinary resilience of life. They prove that no matter how extreme the conditions, life will find a way. The creatures that live in the deep sea are not just survivors. They are pioneers in the most alien environments on Earth. And as we continue to explore the mysteries of the deep ocean, we're reminded that life on Earth is more adaptable, more diverse, and more extraordinary than we ever imagined. No eyes, no light, just instinct. In the depths of the ocean, where no light ever penetrates and no human has ever set foot, creatures have evolved in ways that challenge our understanding of life. Here, the concept of vision is irrelevant. These creatures live in total darkness, where the only sense they rely on is instinct, an ancient, primal connection to the world that doesn't rely on sight or sound. Imagine a world where light doesn't exist. A place where the pressures are unimaginable, and the cold is so intense it could freeze you in seconds. The creatures here don't need eyes because they live in an environment where light has never been. And yet, they thrive in the deepest trenches, where the blackness is absolute, and nothing moves without a reason. Take the blind shrimp that thrives near hydrothermal vents. Its eyes have atrophied over time, rendered useless by the constant darkness. Instead, this shrimp relies on its acute sense of touch and chemicals in the water. It can detect the faintest vibrations in the water around it, helping it avoid predators and find its way to food. The shrimp's instinctive behavior becomes its guiding light in a world where vision serves no purpose. These creatures don't just survive in the dark, they've mastered it. Their instincts have been honed over millions of years to detect subtle cues from their environment. The faintest shifts in water currents, the slightest changes in pressure, and the chemical signals released by potential prey or danger. This is a world where light, the primary tool for survival on the surface, is meaningless. Instead, these creatures have honed their instincts to a level beyond what we could imagine. Consider the bioluminescent jellyfish that glow faintly in the abyss, not for the sake of vision, but as a form of communication or camouflage. In the deep, the absence of light means that every creature must adapt to the darkness in its own way. Some grow their own light to attract mates, lure prey, or defend against attackers. But for the majority, survival relies entirely on instinct, sensing the unseen, responding to the slightest environmental cues. And then there's the deep-sea fish, species like the lanternfish that have evolved specialized organs to detect the smallest movements in the water. With no eyes to guide them, they rely solely on their instinctual reactions to the signals around them. The idea of sight becomes irrelevant here. What matters is their ability to sense the world without ever seeing it. They don't navigate by light, but by touch, vibration, and chemical signaling. This is a world where every movement is calculated by instinct, not by thought. These creatures don't need eyes, because they've never known a world with light. Their very survival is based on their ability to react to their surroundings, and it's an ability that's been refined by countless generations adapting to one of the harshest environments on Earth. In the dark abyss of the ocean, instinct reigns supreme. It's the only guide, the only light. These creatures live by it. They are the true masters of the deep, navigating a world where sight is irrelevant, and only the sharpest instincts can save them from the dangers lurking in the eternal darkness. In the unfathomable depths of the ocean, where light never reaches and the pressure could crush a human in an instant, there are creatures so alien, so bizarre, that they seem more like nightmares than real-life beings. These are the monsters we never knew existed, creatures that defy logic, break the rules of biology, and thrive in environments that would destroy anything else on Earth. Imagine a world where survival means becoming something unrecognizable. A world where the very laws of nature, as we know them, are bent and twisted. In the crushing dark of the abyss, creatures have evolved in ways that make them seem like ancient, otherworldly monsters. From the giant squid, whose tentacles stretch out like some creature from a Lovecraftian tale, to the deep-sea anglerfish, with its glowing lure and sharp, razor-like teeth, the ocean is home to beings so strange that it feels like they belong in a horror story. Take the vampire squid, for example. This little creature, with its eerie red eyes and cloak-like body, has earned its terrifying name. It doesn't suck blood like the vampire of folklore, but instead feeds on the detritus of the ocean, dead and decaying matter. It's a master of camouflage, capable of vanishing into the darkness with a single flick of its arm. But what truly sets it apart is the way it moves, like a ghostly phantom gliding through the water, leaving behind only ripples in the silence of the deep. Then there's the gulper eel, a true terror of the deep. With a mouth so large it can swallow prey half its size, this eel is a predatory nightmare. It can open its jaw so wide that its entire body becomes a cavernous trap. But it doesn't stop there. The gulper eel's ability to expand its stomach like a balloon, digesting its prey alive, is a survival strategy so horrifying it could be ripped straight from a science fiction tale. And we haven't even mentioned the blobfish, often considered the ugliest creature in the world. Its gelatinous, sad face is the result of the extreme pressures of the deep ocean. But it's not just the blobfish's appearance that's horrifying. It's the fact that it defies everything we understand about marine life. Its body is made of a soft, gelatinous substance that helps it survive in an environment where most creatures would be crushed. The blobfish is a living example of how extreme the ocean's depths can be, evolving creatures that look more like animated monsters than real animals. The true horror of the deep, however, lies in the creatures that are still waiting to be discovered. The deeper we dive into the ocean's uncharted waters, the more we encounter life forms that challenge our imagination. Monsters we never knew existed, with features and abilities so bizarre, so terrifying, that they make us question whether Earth's oceans are truly as familiar as we think. These creatures don't care about our perception of reality. They have adapted to survive in a place where no human can live, thriving in an ecosystem so harsh that only the most extreme life forms could make it. Whether they lurk in the deepest trenches or float aimlessly in the dark, the ocean's monsters are out there, waiting for their moment in the spotlight. And the scariest part, we haven't even scratched the surface. Every dive into the unknown, every new discovery brings us closer to unveiling a world full of creatures that blur the line between reality and nightmare. In the deep sea, monsters exist, monsters that have never been seen before, waiting for the right moment to reveal themselves. He went in and never surfaced. He went in and never surfaced. The ocean was supposed to be a place of adventure, a world of discovery and wonder. But for some, it's a one-way trip into the abyss. A vast, unforgiving realm where even the most experienced divers can disappear without a trace. What happened to those who ventured too deep? What lies beneath the surface that swallows men whole, leaving behind nothing but the terrifying silence of the sea? Meet John, an experienced diver who, like many others, thought he knew the ocean like the back of his hand. A seasoned explorer of underwater caves, he had braved some of the world's most dangerous waters, but he had never ventured into the Mariana Trench, the deepest part of Earth's oceans. On his final dive, John descended with a team of fellow divers, eager to explore the uncharted world beneath. It was a routine dive, or so it seemed. But as they descended deeper, a strange feeling began to settle in. The weight of the pressure around them grew heavier with every meter they sank. The water turned darker, the temperature dropped, and the silence was deafening. As they reached depths where light no longer reached, John and his team stumbled upon a strange phenomenon. It looked like a massive underwater cavern, its jagged edges stretching far beyond their lights. But as they approached, something strange happened. The water seemed to shift. The currents grew stronger, pulling them closer to the cavern's mouth. John, intrigued, swam forward alone, his team cautioning him to stay within sight. But he was too curious, too determined. He swam deeper, past his teammates, deeper into the unknown. And then, he vanished. His team called out to him, their voices echoing through the water, but there was no reply. His light disappeared into the blackness, swallowed whole by the abyss. They searched for hours, but there was no trace of him. No sign. Nothing. Days turned into weeks, and the search continued, but the ocean kept its secret. What happened to John? Had he gotten lost in the cavern? Or had the ocean, with its crushing pressure and deadly currents, taken him? Theories swirled. Some said the currents in that part of the ocean were so strong that they could pull a diver into an underwater whirlpool, dragging them deeper than any human could survive. Others believed John had encountered an underwater pocket of gas or a sudden shift in the ocean's topography, a phenomenon so rare and dangerous that it could swallow a man whole without a trace. But the most chilling theory was this: the ocean, a force of nature so vast and ancient, had claimed him, just as it has claimed so many others before. The deep sea has a way of taking what it wants, without warning, without mercy. The waters below are a place where life is fragile and fleeting. No matter how skilled, how prepared, there's always a risk when you venture into the deep. And sometimes, that risk is the ultimate price. So, what happened to John? Did he get lost in the shifting currents? Did the ocean conceal its deadly secrets from human eyes? Or did something even darker lurk in the depths? Something we will never understand. He went in, and never surfaced. And perhaps he never will. The deep sea is a place of mysteries, where every dive into the unknown could be your last. And sometimes, it's the stories of those who disappeared without a trace that remind us just how little we know about the ocean's true depths. Last footage from the deep. Last footage from the deep. The deep ocean is a place where light dies, where the unknown stretches far beyond human comprehension. A place where creatures, lost to time, roam in the absolute dark. It's a world we rarely glimpse, yet one that has claimed countless lives, sometimes without a trace, sometimes with evidence so chilling it defies reason. In 2015, a research expedition embarked on a mission to explore one of the deepest trenches in the world, the Puerto Rico Trench, located beneath the Caribbean Sea. The team, composed of elite divers and scientists, was determined to document the mysteries of the ocean's deepest, most unexplored parts. They were equipped with the latest technology, including a high-definition camera designed to capture footage from the uncharted depths. What they discovered, however, would become one of the most disturbing pieces of evidence to ever surface from the abyss. The footage was found weeks after the mission, when the research vessel received a distress signal. The crew had lost contact with the divers. An eerie silence followed. The vessel made its way back to the surface, but only one diver resurfaced, battered, disoriented, and utterly terrified. The others were gone. But the footage they left behind? It was like nothing anyone had ever seen before. The last footage from the deep began with the team descending into the trench, their lights flickering as they passed through the layers of dark, cold water. It was a slow, methodical dive, capturing the strange, alien creatures they encountered along the way: bioluminescent fish, jellyfish that glowed with an eerie light, and creatures so bizarre they seemed to have been lifted from the pages of science fiction. But then, something happened. The camera captured strange movements in the distance, shadows darting just beyond the reach of their lights. At first, it seemed like nothing more than a trick of the water, the way light bends in the deep. But the shadows grew closer, and the water began to churn, almost as if something massive was moving beneath them. The team's voices crackled over the comms, murmuring about unusual activity, and then, panic. The footage showed the divers swimming frantically, their movements desperate as they turned to flee. Their lights bobbed erratically in the water, flickering like dying stars, and in the shadows of the trench, something stirred, something they could not outrun. The last few moments of the footage are chilling. The divers are moving faster now, but the camera captures flashes of something large, moving in the background. A silhouette, a shape unlike anything seen before, too large to be a simple fish, too fast to be a creature of the deep. It moved with purpose, its movements predatory. The footage cuts out abruptly, the camera sinking into the dark abyss as the diver's frantic breathing echoes in the distance. When the footage was recovered, the team discovered that the footage was mostly intact, but the rest of the equipment? Completely destroyed. The submersible, the cameras, the records. All torn apart in ways that could only be described as violent. But the divers who remained? They couldn't explain it. The sole survivor was in a state of shock, unable to recall what happened in the final moments of the dive. Some experts believe the team encountered a predator of the deep, a creature that had adapted to the pressures of the trench for millions of years. Others claim it was the ocean itself, a place so alien and hostile it can drive humans to madness. But one thing is certain. The last footage from the deep remains an unsettling reminder of how little we truly know about the depths of our own planet. Pauses for dramatic effect. The deep holds its secrets tightly, and sometimes, it never lets them go. The body was never recovered. The body was never recovered. In the dark, unforgiving depths of the ocean, people disappear without a trace. We hear of tragic tales of lost explorers, missing divers, and vanished vessels, but sometimes, the story ends with a mystery far worse than death itself. In 1994, a solo diver named David Westbrook set out on what should have been a routine dive in the Cayman Trench, one of the deepest parts of the Caribbean. He was an experienced diver, known for his daring explorations into uncharted waters. His goal? To descend into the abyss, document the strange creatures that live there, and return to the surface in a matter of hours. But David never returned. His team, waiting on the surface, became worried when he didn't resurface at the scheduled time. The divers, along with the rescue team, immediately launched a search. But the deeper they went, the less they found. The only thing that greeted them was the eerie stillness of the trench. His equipment was discovered first, his oxygen tank, his wetsuit, his dive computer. But no sign of David. Just an empty, cold sea. They scoured every inch of the trench, combing through every crevice. Hours turned into days, and still there was no body. David's disappearance was classified as a mysterious diving accident, but the questions only grew. His body was never recovered. What happened in the dark depths of the trench? Did he meet something he wasn't prepared for? Was there a force down there so overwhelming that it took him without a trace? Experts speculate that it was a strong underwater current or an unforeseen change in the water's pressure that could have caught David off guard. Others point to the presence of unknown predators, creatures whose hunting grounds are so deep and so remote that humanity hasn't even cataloged them yet. As days passed, the story began to take on a life of its own. A theory began to spread among the locals. One whispered in hushed tones that David had met his end at the hands of something far worse than a simple accident. Divers who had ventured into the same trench reported strange sightings, shadowy shapes, objects moving too fast for their eyes to follow. It was as if something was lurking in the deepest parts of the trench, something that didn't belong in any known ecosystem. One diver who had dared to explore the trench after David's disappearance reported feeling an intense pressure as he descended. The deeper he went, the heavier the water seemed. It was as if the ocean itself was alive, pressing against him, forcing him to turn back. And then there were the voices. Divers on the surface reported hearing faint, distorted sounds on their radios. Whispers. Cries. Some claimed it was the wind. But for others, it was a chilling reminder that the ocean doesn't give up its secrets easily. To this day, the body of David Westbrook has never been recovered. The questions remain unanswered. What happened to him beneath the waves? Did he fall victim to the ocean's merciless currents? Or was there something else down there, something ancient and predatory, that claimed him in the deepest, darkest part of our world? The only certainty is this: the ocean holds more than we can ever know, and sometimes, when you venture too deep, the sea takes what it wants, and it never gives it back. Lost in the underwater lake. Lost in the underwater lake. Beneath the ocean's surface, hidden in the shadowy, unexplored depths, there are places so strange, so alien, that they seem to defy everything we know about the natural world. These are places where reality itself seems to bend, where the rules of physics break down, and where the ocean reveals its most terrifying secrets. Imagine this. You're deep beneath the sea, surrounded by the crushing pressure, the endless darkness. You've been diving for hours, surrounded by eerie silence. The only sound is the steady rhythm of your breathing, the only light the faint glow of your headlamp. And then, just ahead of you, you see something unexpected. A lake. But not a lake like any you've seen before. This is a brine pool, a deadly underwater lake so dense, so thick with salt, that it doesn't mix with the surrounding water. Instead, it sinks to the bottom, a silent, shimmering boundary of death. Divers who have ventured into these underwater lakes describe a feeling like no other. As they descend, they enter a new world entirely. The water grows thick, and a strange sensation takes over. It's like being trapped in a gelatinous mass, the weight of the water pressing down on them from all sides. This isn't just any body of water. It's salt so thick it drowns. Unlike regular ocean water, which allows you to float, the brine pool is a liquid so dense that floating becomes impossible. As you try to move, the water feels like it's trying to keep you still, like you're trapped beneath your own weight, unable to break free. You can't rise, you can't move. You're trapped, and the deeper you go, the more oppressive the pressure becomes. And then there's the silence, an eerie, all-encompassing stillness that fills the water around you. In the normal ocean, you'd hear the distant hum of life, the rush of water, the call of distant creatures. But here, beneath the surface of the brine pool, there's only the deafening quiet, broken only by the sound of your own heartbeat. For those who have ventured too far, the gravity of this underwater lake has proven to be their undoing. The salt and pressure trap them, pulling them downward, as if the lake is trying to swallow them whole. There's no escape, no way to rise to the surface. Divers who've gotten too close to the edges of these deadly lakes report seeing strange, unnatural creatures. Creatures that don't belong in any known ecosystem. Creatures that somehow thrive in this toxic, alien environment. And some, with horror in their eyes, claim to have seen something even more chilling. There are stories of lost divers, people who ventured into the brine pools, and were never seen again. Some say the ocean simply took them, that the brine pools aren't just a dangerous place, they're a trap. A prison for anyone foolish enough to enter. No body, no trace, nothing but the still, shimmering surface of the lake. The ocean's way of saying, once you enter, you're never truly free again. So, what happens when you're lost in one of these underwater lakes? Is there a way to escape? Or are you doomed to be swallowed by the ocean's liquid concrete, trapped beneath a weight so great, so overwhelming, that it's as if the ocean itself is claiming you for its own? The mystery remains. And for now, the answers are still hidden beneath the waves. In the depths of the underwater lake. A cautionary tale written in salt, lost in the underwater lake. Beneath the ocean's surface, hidden in the shadowy, unexplored depths, there are places so strange, so alien, that they seem to defy everything we know about the natural world. These are places where reality itself seems to bend, where the rules of physics break down, and where the ocean reveals its most terrifying secrets. Imagine this. You're deep beneath the sea, surrounded by the crushing pressure, the endless darkness. You've been diving for hours, surrounded by eerie silence. The only sound is the steady rhythm of your breathing, the only light the faint glow of your headlamp. And then, just ahead of you, you see something unexpected. A lake. But not a lake like any you've seen before. This is a brine pool, a deadly underwater lake so dense, so thick with salt that it doesn't mix with the surrounding water. Instead, it sinks to the bottom, a silent, shimmering boundary of death. Divers who have ventured into these underwater lakes describe a feeling like no other. As they descend, they enter a new world entirely. The water grows thick, and a strange sensation takes over. It's like being trapped in a gelatinous mass, the weight of the water pressing down on them from all sides. This isn't just any body of water. It's salt so thick it drowns. Unlike regular ocean water, which allows you to float, the brine pool is a liquid so dense that floating becomes impossible. As you try to move, the water feels like it's trying to keep you still, like you're trapped beneath your own weight, unable to break free. You can't rise, you can't move. You're trapped, and the deeper you go, the more oppressive the pressure becomes. And then there's the silence. An eerie, all-encompassing stillness that fills the water around you. In the normal ocean, you'd hear the distant hum of life, the rush of water, the call of distant creatures. But here, beneath the surface of the brine pool, there's only the deafening quiet, broken only by the sound of your own heartbeat. For those who have ventured too far, the gravity of this underwater lake has proven to be their undoing. The salt and pressure trap them, pulling them downward, as if the lake is trying to swallow them whole. There's no escape, no way to rise to the surface. Divers who've gotten too close to the edges of these deadly lakes report seeing strange, unnatural creatures. Creatures that don't belong in any known ecosystem. Creatures that somehow thrive in this toxic, alien environment. And some, with horror in their eyes, claim to have seen something even more chilling. There are stories of lost divers, people who ventured into the brine pools, and were never seen again. Some say the ocean simply took them. That the brine pools aren't just a dangerous place, they're a trap. A prison for anyone foolish enough to enter. No body, no trace, nothing but the still, shimmering surface of the lake. The ocean's way of saying, once you enter, you're never truly free again. So, what happens when you're lost in one of these underwater lakes? Is there a way to escape? Or are you doomed to be swallowed by the ocean's liquid concrete, trapped beneath a weight so great, so overwhelming that it's as if the ocean itself is claiming you for its own? The mystery remains. And for now, the answers are still hidden beneath the waves. In the depths of the underwater lake.